Welcome, everyone. I see people are still entering the meeting. That is excellent. We're so pleased you have chosen to join us today for the first edition of CESA, Higher Education in Focus. I will say a few words about what that is in just a moment. My name is Elizabeth Colucci. I am working for the Abre Global Observatory, which is coordinating the HAQA initiative, Harmonization, Quality Assurance, and Accreditation in African Higher Education, an initiative supported by the European Union Commission in conjunction with the African Union Commission. I would like to make, before we kick it off, I would like to make some technical announcements. Very importantly, we have interpretation available today, and we will have interpretation available for all of the CESA Higher Education in Focus events. We are in English, French, and Portuguese. If you look at the bottom of your Zoom screen, you will see an interpretation icon, which resembles a globe. Click on that and select the language that you would like to hear and also the language that you would like to speak in. Second announcement is that we are recording this session today. As a result, it would be great if you could turn your cameras off if you are not speaking. That's a bit unfortunate because I do like to see all of your faces, but it just makes the recording and the transmission of the recording a little bit more chaotic if everyone has their camera on. So you can turn your camera off if you are not speaking. I would also encourage you to keep your microphone muted so that we can avoid any background noise. My colleague Eloy is in the background and will mute you if you forget. But indeed, when you do speak, if you would like to speak, of course, you can enable your microphone. Finally, please do not hesitate to put your comments, your questions in the chat. We will have a long period for discussion and interaction today, which will be moderated by Peter Okobukula and Juma Shubani, who are our key facilitators and speakers today. But if you're not comfortable speaking, you're welcome to send questions also in the chat, and we will be monitoring that as well. Just a few additional words on my behalf, and then I will give it over to Deirdre Lennon, who will be doing a short welcome from the European Union Commission. We're very pleased about this event series. This is the first of 6 events. The purpose of CESA Higher Education in Focus is to put focus on the CESA agenda. CESA is the Continental Education Strategy for Africa, the African Union's flagship strategy. We are focusing on higher education, of course, and this particular series of activities is trying to shine light on the need to generate more comprehensive, comparable, and consistent data on higher education across the continent to be able to assess where we are and where we are going. The HAQA initiative is supporting this agenda as part of its contract, in addition to supporting a number of activities, capacity buildings, trainings in the field of quality assurance in particular. We invite you to join us for further activities. If you look on the website through which you registered, we will be announcing further events through this platform. And they are all driven by the coordinators of the CESA Higher Education Cluster and its respective subclusters. This is a structure that brings together stakeholders to look at different areas and themes in higher education relevant to the CESA objectives, particularly in higher education, like private education, like curricula, like university industry collaboration, etc. So we're trying to work closely with the CESA cluster and its coordinators to bring these events to you. I would like to now give the floor to Deirdre Lennon, who is our colleague, friend, and counterpart in the European Union Commission, who is overseeing the HAQA initiative and the Africa-Europe Education Strategical Partnership, which supports this endeavor. So Deirdre, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Elizabeth. Colleagues, it's a pleasure to see so many of you here today and so many people that I know. Peter, Juma, to start with, we've been working together for a number of years now, and it's really a pleasure to see the focus that's being put on CESA now. We were discussing, I think, in numerous dinners when CESA was drafted by the African Union, and a number of you are actually collaborating to the setup of the higher education cluster. So that's very nice to have this series now ahead of us. I'd like to say hello to the colleagues at the African Union Commission, at the Association of African Universities, Abre, and all the organizers. And thank you for this event today. I wanted to underline the extent to which the European Union is a long-standing partner of Africa in the fields of education, research, and innovation. We have a number of partnerships in these fields at bilateral, regional, and continental levels, be it the European Commission, but also our member states. Our last year's communication towards a comprehensive strategy with Africa was focusing very much on the development of knowledge, digital technologies, skills, scientific capacities, innovation, infrastructure, including research. And all these elements, I think, are one of the reasons why we're here today, and why HACWA is supporting the CESA agenda now. Following the pandemic, I think it's been very clear to everybody to what extent human capital development, skills, quality, higher education and innovation will be a driver for policy objectives and an essential component of recovery. We've got a new, stronger international dimension under the Erasmus program, and I'm very pleased that we'll have significantly more funding, at least that's expected, for collaboration with Africa. In Europe, the latest policy sort of frameworks is the European education area and the Digital Education Action Plan. And we look very much forward to collaborating and sharing practices between the two continents, as Africa is really a priority region for Europe. Under the new Erasmus program, we'll have many opportunities for exchanges, for mobility, but for capacity building also. So a lot of the discussions, thoughts, reflections, and initiatives that are taking place between the academic community on both continents will be able to be followed up through projects under Erasmus in the coming years. And I think it's very important that the themes that are being touched upon in these CESA series are really priority areas, both for Africa, but also are reflected in the policy objectives in the European Union. So I think there'll be plenty of opportunities for collaboration together there. Thank you very much for the opportunity to say these welcome words to you today, and I wish you the best of luck with your collaboration in these focus series. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Deirdre, and thank you for your continued support as usual. I would like to give the floor now to Emmanuel Chigosi, who joins us from the African Union Commission. He is our principal contact point for higher education related initiatives under the Africa-EU Strategic Partnership, and is working in the Department of Human Resources, Science and Technology. Emmanuel, if you are with us, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Elizabeth. Good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you're joining us from. My name is Chigosi.
You have muted yourself.
Great. Can you hear me, please?
Yeah, we can.
Yes, we can.
Thank you so much, Elizabeth. Good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you're connecting from. My name is Chigozie Emmanuel Okonkwo. I am the focal person for higher education and the AU-EU Education Initiative at the African Union Commission. On behalf of my principal, the acting head of education, Mr. Hambani Masheleni, it is a pleasure to give a few remarks and of course welcome us to this very first CESA Higher Education in Focus event. We are particularly excited with the very wide array of stakeholders on this call today and for this event. As you all are aware, COVID-19 has forced us towards a very new paradigm shift that affects the way we work and deliver our mandates and promises to the African citizenry, whom we have been recruited to serve. Even though COVID-19 is first of all a health crisis, we as stakeholders involved in education development and management can testify to the impact it has had on teaching and learning, particularly in Africa. And as such, policy level responses targeted at strengthening data collection, reporting, and monitoring of education are, as a matter of importance to the African Union Commission. As you might also be aware, the Continental Education Strategy for Africa, CESA 1625, is the African Union's education transformation agenda and the African Union's transformation strategy that addresses the challenges plaguing the education ecosystem. CESA 1625 is driven by a number of guiding principles, some pillars and strategic objectives, most of which are very significant to the objective of this initiative and cut across the various themes for the CESA Higher Education in Focus event. CESA capitalizes on numerous and active players to mobilize financial, human and technical resources within the African continent for education development, and not just education, but of course on science and technology. Thus, the strategy seeks to provide each education stakeholders the opportunity to make its best contribution to education and training in Africa. The implementation of the CESA requires concerted, harmonious, and systemic effort, which requires the deployment of all key stakeholders towards realizing the common vision. It is therefore necessary to mobilize all key stakeholders and share within a shared understanding and anticipated undertaking of the major priorities for education development on the continent. Colleagues, data collection has emerged as a priority of the AUC, just like I've mentioned before, and it is reflected in all our CESA strategic objectives, notably the Objective 11, which seeks to improve management of education systems as well as build and enhance capacity for data collection, management, analysis, communication, and its uses. Following the end of the second decade for education in 2015, the AUC commenced the development of the CESA 1625 and its indicator framework, which supports, with support from partners, notably ADIA, on policy support and development of the EMIS, which we call the Education Management and Information System. This framework took into cognizance a number of indicators and forms the SDG 4 framework and the AU second decade for education, all of which were developed from the lessons from those framework. The challenges, however, with monitoring and reporting for the second decade was the lack of benchmarks that existed for a large number of indicators. Additionally, the challenges of data collection, its availability, and the lack of capacity at the level of member states hinders our efforts to properly monitor, evaluate, and report on the progress and achievements so far. As we discuss towards the setup of an efficient, sustainable policy data unit for the CESA Higher Education Cluster, we must ensure that the right kind of resources and partnership are galvanized towards effective monitoring and implementation of all the 12 strategic objectives. Likewise, a strong and implementable capacity building strategy should be put in place. a policy data unit as proposed by the CESA Higher Education Cluster to support the collection of data and the production of policy reports on African higher education, which contributes to an effective coordination of the CESA Higher Education Cluster, is a very welcome idea. And of course, the cluster can always count on the support of the AUC. The critical role of the PDU in providing reliable and up-to-date input on higher education in Africa makes it very significant and important. I want to seize this opportunity to once again thank and appreciate our partners, the colleagues from the EU, the implementing partners, the AAU, Abre Global, and of course the leads across the various sub-clusters of the higher education cluster for, of course, leading this process. Let me once again assure of our commitment to this process. We at the AUC are very much excited with this initiative. And of course, please continue to count on our support. Thank you so much for your attention. Over to you, Elizabeth.
Thank you so much, Emmanuel, for setting the stage for us. And indeed, the AUC's leadership in this endeavor is essential. So thank you for your support. Finally, last short opening word from the Association of African Universities, who was also a core implementing partner of the HAQUA initiative, in addition to being the co-coordinator of the CESA Higher Education Cluster. I would like to introduce Professor Jonathan Maba.
Thank you very much, Elizabeth. Good morning and good afternoon from wherever you are joining. On behalf of our Secretary General, Professor Nehile, I would like to join my voice to welcome all of you to this important CESA Higher Education in Focus series. As has been mentioned by Elizabeth, the event will be part of the groundwork for the policy data units development and legitimacy, rooting it closely in the CESA process, as has been mentioned by Mr. Emmanuel of African Union Commission. So our plan is to organize in collaboration with Global Obrial, led by Elizabeth, that is coordinating the HACA project, and in collaboration with the CESA Higher Education Subcluster coordinators, we are proposing to organize a number of online CESA Higher Education Cluster events with a common thread that is linked to the data collection for policy making. In other words, the data policy nexus issue. So this is the first in a series of these events, and we are happy that you have joined us to, deliberate, to discuss, and also to share ideas on this important subject area that has implications for policy making. So the process, in our opinion, will lead to the AAU General Conference in July, where a session will be dedicated to the HACA2 CESA related activities and the policy data unit concept, which will be presented to the Vice Chancellors during this event. So on that note, I would like to welcome all of you, and on behalf of our Secretary General, I wish all of us a very fruitful deliberation. Thank you very much. Over to you, Elizabeth.
Thank you so much, Jonathan. Thank you. And indeed, AAU is an important partner and voice, as always, in this process. Without further ado, let's go on to the main event. As mentioned before, this forum today will be led by Peter Okobukula and Juma Shubani. Many of you know them very well. They have been strong figureheads in the African higher education harmonization agenda for quite a long time now, and very important collaborators on many levels. Very briefly, Peter has an extensive history in higher education and science. He has been executive president of GUNI Africa, previously was an executive secretary of the National University Commission in Nigeria. Today, he is co-chair of our technical working group under the HAQUA initiative, which is contributing to the setup of an African Continental Accreditation and Quality Assurance Agency. And he has also co-authored significantly the original feasibility study for the PACWAF. The PACWAF is the Pan-African Quality Assurance and Accreditation Framework. Juma also has a long career, successful academic career in mathematics, currently a professor at the University of Burundi, has formerly been the Deputy Secretary General at the Association of African Universities, is now coordinating the subcluster of the CESA higher education cluster on harmonization, accreditation, and quality assurance, and also participates in the HAQUA initiative in the task force for the further promotion and development of the African standards and guidelines for quality assurance. That was a mouthful, but it's very hard to summarize these two distinguished gentlemen in a very short amount of time. So I will stop there and you can read further about their credentials online. Peter and Juma have conducted a study to prime this event today. Many of you participated in that study. It had to do with challenges and prospects for reliable data collection on African higher education. They will be presenting those results to you today and also leading a discussion on those results and trying to formulate some recommendations for the future of the PDU. So without further ado, Peter and Juma, the floor is yours. Thank you so much. And we're very pleased that you will be leading us today in this important discussion.
Thank you. Juma, you have the floor.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon to everyone. It's a pleasure for me to welcome you to this phase of a series of 6 CESA Higher Education in Focus events, which is organized by the CESA Higher Education subcluster on harmonization, quality assurance, and accreditation under the coordination of Peter Okebokola and myself. We are going to make a presentation which is based on a regional study, which I think most of you have participated in this study. I will invite Professor Okebokola to make the presentation of the study, but before that, I'll try to add a few elements on the introduction made by Elizabeth. You know, to present Professor Okebokola is not easy. You may need, at least for me, I need a week or a year to do that. But as Elizabeth said, Professor Okebokola is a distinguished professor of science, computer, and environmental education. He is currently the chairman of the board of the National Open University of Nigeria, which is currently the largest university in Africa in terms of enrollment. A few years ago, he was the chairman of boards of maybe more than 5 universities, as far as I can remember, but it may be more. So he's president of the GUNI Africa, Global University Network for Innovation, with the global headquarters based in Barcelona, in Spain. And he's former executive secretary of the National Universities Commission, where he did a lot of things, including development of a similar structure, you know, to try to manage and monitor data collection and use of data for policy development in Nigeria. I think I'll stop here and just invite Professor Okebokola to present the study. Thank you very much.
Thank you so very much. Professor Juma Shabani, if I start to introduce you to today, it will take another 3 years. But between yourself and I and one other co-author, we conducted a study which I'm sure most of you have received the draft report. Juma, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yes. So we are happy to present this report, and I will tell you what we think is the logic of the problem. Now, we are all aware that policy is a central element in, please just give me a minute. Central element in higher education delivery systems. But you see, if you don't have data to drive the formulation of the policy and its implementation, then the effort will almost come to naught. So without valid and reliable data, policy formulation and implementation will be significantly weakened. So that is the logic. And I give a few examples. If a country in Africa, from Algeria to Zimbabwe, will want to enact a policy on higher education enrollment, and it hasn't got data, current data, reliable data on higher education participation rates, that policy will fall on very weak foundation. And we're now in the SDG era, SDG 4 on quality education, quality learning. So without current and reliable data, all we'll be talking about at the level of the AU, at the level of the countries, will come to naught in terms of policy formulation. So what is the situation as we have it today? If you look at Europe, or many countries in Europe and the US, or most higher education indicators, you have current data. So these data are available for planning and for policy making. If you took global world reports on education, health, food security, everything, and you flip to the appendix, and you look at the statistical annex, what you find is that for many African countries, if our assessment by the last APG report is that about over 50 of African countries do not have current data for the year that is being reported. And when you find the data, it will be old, 2 years or more back. So when current data are available, what do you find? You find that the Bureau of Statistics in many countries, the data are usually politically colored. And when the data are not politically colored, when you get some recent data, you find that the data have been provided by donor agencies based on sample surveys, which survey is good. Extrapolating to larger population, yes, but you are not able to cover as much ground that will make the data fully representative of the countries. So what's the implication of this? The policies are developed and are not based on reliable and valid data. So why is Africa lagging behind? And what can be done about it? That's the central question. Well, we're happy to note that CESA Higher Education Cluster has come to the rescue to support ongoing efforts. My word of just said, ongoing efforts. Efforts are going on everywhere. But this CESA Higher Education Cluster effort is supporting what is existing elsewhere. So what's the plan, ladies and gentlemen? The plan is a proposal to set up a policy data unit. And broad consultations are on how the policy data unit, PDU for short, can be configured. So as we heard in the opening by Deirdre Lennon, by the AUC, by Abre Global, by AAU, this is one of several of the consultation sessions. So we conducted a study, and these are the key research questions. Now, why do we have data inadequacies in many African countries? And what are the sustainable solutions? And for sure, we do not have the worst case scenario everywhere. There are some exemplary practices. Where are these exemplary practices? And what can be models that can best fit the establishment of PDU for CESA? We cast our net wide, and we're able to get 107 experts from 18 countries. You can see this on table 1, and you have it in the report which we shared with you. And you can see on the left, figure 4, which you have as the responsibility characteristics of the respondents. Higher education ministry stroke head of higher education ministries. For instance, now, today I've just checked. We have 15 vice chancellors who are here. VC Anyolaja from Botswana, VC Ogunbodede, VC Olushola Oyewole, VC Uyo. We have some ambassadors here, Labiron, Liki Labi. We have Professor Gula Mohammed Bai. He didn't participate in this study, but he is a giant that we're very delighted as able to attend this event, and a large number of people in the higher education community. So we had education through academic planners, educational statisticians, policy formulation and policy making people, education management information system experts, quality assurance experts, and all of this. How did we proceed? We had an instrument, an online questionnaire, and we surveyed the respondents over a 2-week period. What are our findings, ladies and gentlemen? On the reasons why we have data inadequacies for policy formulation in Africa, based on the feedback from our sample: inadequate funding for research and data collection. If you check through the investment in research in Africa, is the lowest, Sub-Saharan Africa, the lowest globally, lowest. And there's a challenge of inadequacy of well-trained personnel for data collection and analysis. I give myself an example. In 1999 and 2000, I was appointed by the federal government of Nigeria as a consultant for the education sector analysis to set up the AMIS for Nigeria, Education Management Information System. I went for training in IIP, went for training, UNESCO Institute for Statistics, went for training everywhere. Did you know that by 2001, when I was appointed executive secretary, all of those things went? So you find a situation whereby even the well-trained personnel are very fluid in their movement. So you train them and they are no longer there. Weak political will to make data available, which gives room for corruption. You go to a governmental agency, I want data. I give an example of Nigeria. I want data on enrollment in basic education. The first question the people will ask you is that, what do you need data for? If it's for resource sharing, they have a set they will give to you, higher figure. If it is for monitoring, they give you some figure different from that. So there's a lot of corruption, and when you go to collect data, corruption also manifests itself. The third key reason that our respondents told us is inadequate technology and facilities for data storage and retrieval. Let's go on to the solutions that our respondents proffer. One is that research and data collection should be better funded. And we need to build capacity or strengthen capacity of data collectors and those who will conduct data analysis. We need strong political will to make data available for national development. And the last one here, provision of facilities for data storage and retrieval. We asked our respondents to give us exemplary practices, almost all of them, 70, about 107, but you see, when we asked for those who will not mind our mentioning their names in the report, 78 of them indicated. So you find their names mentioned in the report because they give us authority to quote them. So we have for several, but you can see 4 of in Nigeria, in South Africa, in Ghana, in Cameroon. We'll be hearing clips of this in a little while. Now, a model framework for data-driven policies. Our third researcher, Debinkwe Akikotu, I don't know who Binkwe is here. I've been trying to reach her so that she can present this model, very good model, which we discussed, which has this kind of cyclical framework. Now, the meat of our presentation is the proposal of this 10-point agenda towards setting up a policy data unit for CESA higher education cluster. 10-point agenda. The first, as you will see, is not necessary in any order. We have to select national data collection units in every country in the region. If you want data, 54, if you like 55 African countries, You got to get one agency, a point where you'll be able to collect the data at the national level for higher education. Now, how do you get this? There should be a survey. So PDU, when it's based, should do a survey of existing higher education institutions or agencies with track record of being able to collect and process verifiable data. Verifiable is very important here because you can ring a bell in wherever PDU is, bring data. They can give you any kind of data. And the example of National Universities Commission is given here. Now, the person, we've selected some people from different countries to give us short perspectives. They'll be able to tell us. Now, let me quickly tell you about it, that of National Universities Commission. That of National Universities Commission. Today, if you ask me or anybody in the system to tell you enrollment, access, all the indicators, or most of, there's one, Rudolphine, can you stop, if you don't mind? Yeah, marking the screen. Rudolphine, W, maybe you want to stop marking the screen. So what you find is a set of a system that were established that if you want the latest data, you're able to get it. And it's not data that are conjecturally presented by the academic planning units of our universities, but data that are verified and validated. I have a book here, which I'll show. This is this book, if you can see it, The State of University Education in Nigeria 2019. We have the one for 2020. Every data, and it's online. It can be processed. We can derive the results of several indicators, from it. After having the national, we may have the sub-regional coordinating node for national agencies. In other words, for West Africa, we can get a node, coordinating node, maybe in Ghana or Sierra Leone, that the data that have been validated from the national are transmitted, just like kind of clearinghouse at the sub-regional level. The data aggregated and then processed for acceptability to the regional level, to the PDU. The PDU is established as a regional policy data unit in a location that is determined through objective criteria and geopolitical considerations. The next one, number 4, is building institutional capacity. Building capacities in 2 areas. One is institutional capacity, the other is human capacity. We talked about national points for data collection, validation, and processing. So you need to build you have to build institution, especially in the area of technical infrastructure for EMIS. And human capacity. Now, all staff of institutions at the national, regional, sub-regional, and regional levels will have to be trained to upgrade their knowledge and skills in EMIS and data-driven policy development. Now, this training, of course, will have to be continuous. Very important item is number 6. We're talking about data for higher education that will drive policies. So what kind of data are we looking at? We have to agree region-wide about the standards for all the higher education indicators. Our suggestion here is that the education indicators should target broad areas of access. Data on gross enrollment ratio, net enrollment ratio, and all of that, on quality, on equity, on funding, and efficiency. But beyond this, we have to agree at the level of the region, just like we have African standards and guidelines, we have to have standards and guidelines for the data that we collected based on the indicators. So for the contemporary global goals like SDGs, we'll have indicators that we'll agree upon, and also for our regional goal agenda 2063. If you went to the UIS site, you find data for sustainable development goals. And incidentally, you have some data for Agenda 2063, some indicators. So we have to work in a way where we will agree on those common standards for our indicators. I started this afternoon that based on its annual data collection, the UIS produces a range of indicators to track trends in tertiary education at the global, regional, and national levels. These data include enrollment and graduation ratios, and type of program, enrollment rates in private and public institutions, and graduates by field of study. It has also developed a series of unique indicators to track the flows of foreign or mobile students and all of that. So you can see higher education. So UIS, UNESCO Institute for Statistics. I was part of, I got training in the 1999-2000. And I know that a set of indicators, which you find in the appendix of our report, a long list of indicators for higher education, that PDU that we're envisaging should look at and pick those that are relevant to our region. Number 7 of 10 is data verification. You have to verify the data. You have to, these ranking schemes from institutions all over the world, able to data are not too sure. But for higher education, the policy data unit, you must be able to install a validation, not just collect data from institution, regional, there'll be some validation at the different levels. Very importantly is data security, to be given attention. 8 is partnerships. We can't sit here in Africa, we agree, PDU, to with those organizations that already stand with regard to higher education statistics. UNESCO Institute for Statistics is one of them. World Bank collects higher education, UNDP, and agencies in other regions that are playing similar roles that PDU want to play. Areas of EM and policy formulation. We've got to form partnerships with them. And then monitoring is number 9. We have to conduct periodic monitoring and evaluation. And number 10, extremely important, like the others, we have to incentivize all the persons in PDU. If you do not give them some special remuneration, over rate will be very, very heavy. And you train them, and you are back to square 1 or square 0. So longevity on the job, greater efficiency and commitment, you will have to get some special skill for remuneration. As for Juma Shabani said, I work well, I'm chairman of Council National Open University, a special skill for our IT people. If you don't do that, next week they're all gone. So for the people in EU, technical people, administrative people, they have to be specially remunerated. So these are the that we have, and it's now my pleasure to start inviting the following person in this order. Mrs. Esther Sene Deme of University of, and then we'll get Professor Ibrahim Mona from Egypt, Professor Dan from Nigeria, Her Excellency Dabusar, Senegal Virtual University, Van Schawick. So let's start with Esther Asene from Cameroon. To share your country experience. Please unmute yourself and take the floor.
Okay, thank you, Professor. So my blocked. Okay, I'll continue. Yeah. Okay, thank you. It's a really great pleasure. I don't know if everybody's understanding me.
I am, by the way, and I'm sure the
Okay.
English-speaking people are, yeah. And
Okay,
it's been translated.
Okay, cool. So I said I will present in English. Okay, so I'm this opportunity to talk in front of you, great professors, doctors, and almost experienced people. And what I would like to share about my country, I'm from Cameroon. And in my country, for example, I took the case of demography. So to have real statistics of our government sent trained teams in quarters, how they go from houses after houses in order to know exactly who is staying here, how many people stays here, things. So a part of that, when concerning schools, what database use concerns only the students subscribed during the academic year. Students from primary, nursery, or university, the statistics they'll take in order to give an appropriate number of students. Okay, so we have to hire Institute of Statistics that was created by the government, and that institute have a lot of students coming from the sub-regions, let it be Congo, small Congo, Chad, and they come here to study about statistics. And most of those people are being used are be trained in order for them to give us real statistics when they go to our different institutions. So now the lessons now we can take from that is, first of all, the training of youth. And I think that's important, because not only because it gives people experience and it gives them two jobs, and the system too is digital. So since the system is digitalized, it gave us more liability. I don't know how to say it well in English. Trust the data. We have a little trust in the data that have been given, because everything is being digitalized. Like years ago on sheet of papers, and they say, okay, these are the real numbers. These are the real statistics of all the real statistics of the population. And the point is the fluidity of information. Things are digitalized, so it's more easy to send, for example, an email. For example, people from Douala, after counting the students in or public universities, they will send the statistics to the higher institution for them to join to different schools and give us a real statistic. That's conclusion. I will just go straight to the point. I really appreciate what Professor Akibukola said, because he mentioned the verification, and that's the because I myself, when I went to meet some people in the statistic institute, I asked them, how do you work verification? And that was just where the conversation stops. It was really difficult for us to be sure. But I understand. I would like to name this author, Mark Twain, who said there are three kinds of lies. There are lies, there are damn lies, and there are statistics. So it's not easy to give real statistics, let it be on education or even demographic. Concerning education, for example, we have students that are not going to continue.
Esther, you need to round up. Esther, you need to round up now. You need to round up. You know you are supposed to speak for 3 minutes here.
Okay, so yeah, that was my last sentence I wanted to give, but it's fine. Thank you very much, and I'm well pleased.
Thank you so very much, Esther Sene from Cameroon. Ladies and gentlemen, I got a note from Professor Ibrahim Mona. He agreed to make this presentation, but is not able to join us at the moment. If Professor Dambata Umar from Nigeria is here, you may wish to take the floor. Professor Umar, are you here? Yeah, he's trying to come in. Elizabeth, your system can only accommodate 100 people. I have a system that can take 500. If I had known, we'll have set this up. Dambata is not able to come in, so let me check if it's in the room. No, it's not. he has been trying to comment. The capacity, Elizabeth, the capacity of your Zoom is rather limited. So let's have Senegal, and we have Rufina Dabusar. Share your experience, your country experience
Bonjour,
from Senegal.
je me réjouis d'avoir été invité.
Hello, it's a pleasure to be amongst you, among such distinguished guests who are actually my professors, Professor Shabani, Mumba, and I would like to echo my voice. I greet welcome to you all, and it's a real pleasure to say a few words concerning the problem of statistics database, which is, from my point of view, a concept of paramount importance. Why? Because it is the foundation for our policy formulation. That is why we need to pay extra attention to this. We can highlight that this is not the case in many countries. We do not assign the priority it deserves. Now, if we don't know what the reality of our country, how can we formulate sound policies? That's why I think this initiative is most timely, because it contributes to improve higher education standards for a better education in this and other areas. I am willing to participate in this initiative. I would like to add I would like to echo what the other speakers have said, and I am available for any help or assistance you may need. The University of Senegal is aware of statistics to improve higher education. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Excellency Rufina Dabusar. I can see that the ambassador from Professor Dambata, you're here. If you want to take the floor at this time, Professor Dambata, I saw him in the room a little while ago. Else to South Africa, Dr. Van Schaikwyk, Francois Stellenbosch University. Dr. Francois, if you want to take the floor now, it's all yours.
Hi, everyone. That's okay, because I'm not in the office. Getting flashes. My internet is unstable. So I hope you can hear me clearly. I know I've got 2 minutes.
Take 3 minutes. Take 3 minutes.
Okay. If I need it, maybe I'll still stick to 2. Let's see how we go. So I really just want to talk about and highlight some of the lessons from those and what we can take from them. The first was a project that I was involved in, which was called Education Research and Advocacy Network in Africa, also known by its abbreviation HIRANA. It was a project that worked with 8 universities in Africa, data from 2001 to 2015, mainly on the research performance of these universities. And as someone mentioned earlier, how to assess the research performance when there was no data available. So the broader objective was to evaluate the performance of these. The actual focus collecting the data needed to conduct that performance. The project ran for about 10 years, so it was a long process, and I think that's that the multi-countries, the biggest achievement, thing that's often not acknowledged, of standards used to do cross-national comparison. Systems are slightly different in national contexts, and there's a lot of discussion to be had about what is included and what is excluded, what definitions mean, what a full-time equivalent means in one country, different in another. Be agreement on these before you can start collecting the data. Otherwise, comparisons become tricky. And it's not a quick process, but once you've got those standards in place, it really facilitates data collection and analysis. One of the shortcomings of that particular project, funded. So as soon as the funding dried up, the data collection stopped. I expect that at some universities it continued. Some of the process had been institutionalized, but we're pretty sure that 8 universities. So there are issues there around sustainability and the incentives of the universities to continue with data collection after the project had ended. And that's where I come to my second example, which is the management information system, which is South Africa's higher education management system that's managed by the Department of Higher Education and Training. All 6 public universities in the country. They collect student and staff data. There are standards in place. There are mechanisms and processes for verifying and cleaning the data before it is released. Release is sometimes a bit slow, in my opinion, but it is released and can be accessed on request or via aggregated data tables. There are problems accessing the raw data because they contain numbers and therefore personal data, and that's always an excuse to use data. Instead of coming up with solutions about how to anonymize that data, we just get told, sorry, you can't access that data. But I think what is important from the example of HEMIS are 2 things. One, that it's a requirement to submit data. If you don't submit your data as a university, you don't get your funding. It's a very basic incentive and a very powerful. And this has led to the institutionalization of data collection in the universities. So they have organizational adaptation at a structural level. So there's a HEMIS office, so an office with a HEMIS officer and assistants, and their sole job is to collect data. And that in itself, as you may well know, if you work at a university, is not straightforward. I can give you an example at the University of Ghana. We had a number for PhD graduates in a particular year. We've got 3 different. And the hardest person to convince was the Vice Chancellor because of graduations, and I know the number was different. But of course, he wasn't thinking about what counts and what doesn't count. That's the job of the HEMIS officer or the data officer, is to try and reconcile these different sources of data that come at them from different parts of the university. So I think the issue sustainability, as I said, with incentives, and I think that's often missing in a lot of plans that I see. What's going to make people contribute that data? And many different incentives. Even data use itself can become an incentive. Again, I can use the University of Ghana. I know that one of their funders was very impressed when they could present data to the funder. Or changes over time. So through their use of data, which depended on collection, they could make a positive contribution, presentation to a particular donor. So I think I'll leave it there. I'll put in the chat some publications that deal with these in a little bit more detail if anyone's interested. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you very much, Professor. We appreciate the example from South Africa. We got example or case study from Cameroon, we're going to get from Nigeria in a minute because Professor, where is he now? I hope he hasn't going off this. So I picked quite a few things from the South African example, and that's about having the HEMIS office in the university and incentivizing every people along the chain, just like we said in the 10-point agenda. We need to have standards to make comparisons very easy. Can we take Nigeria now? Nigeria, are you ready? Okay, it's not. Now, we opening up the floor. We have like 20 minutes. We're opening up the floor to contributions from the, let's see, okay. If you want to take the floor, please just raise your electronic hand. If you look at the reaction button, I think it's the last one at the bottom of your screen, you'll find a hand there. Just, I can see, I will just identify those that we will get to speak. Kadza, Adu, don't speak yet. I will just let you, I will identify those who will speak and then we'll take it from there. Kadza, Umar, Hove, Bugoma, Fredawa. We're going to stop it that way for now. Kadza Adu, please unmute and take the floor. Kadza
Yes,
Adu?
hi, yes, I'm here.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for this meeting, and thank you also for reaching out to all of us to let us contribute. I wanted to raise the issue of university rankings and how they have found a way of extracting data from all of our universities, and just building on Dr. von Schalkwick's comments that it's very important that there are incentives in how to collect the data. Otherwise, as we have seen, it's not done. And it's extremely important that it's done timely, because a statistic that's valid 5 years ago is not so useful for policy formulation today, especially in a quickly changing world. So I think that was my comment at this point. Thank you so much.
Thank you so very much, Kazadu. Which country are you based in, or are you from?
Yes. So I'm a complicated world citizen. I am from and currently residing in Sweden, but I lived in Ghana for 12 years and doctorate at University of Ghana that was mentioned before. I was one of them who are difficult to.
Thank you. Michael, Dr. Ahove.
Thank you very much, sir. My little is about sustainability of this project.
Which country are you from? Which country? Please yourself and then tell us the country you're from.
Michael Ahove from Nigeria.
Okay, go ahead. Please carry on.
One has to do with sustainability of this project. How do we plan to end this project, at least for the next decade, to ensure that we have large data for the next 10 years, 20 years in our higher institutions? The second concern has to do with political. Yes, sir.
Professor Michael Ahove.
Yes, sir.
You know, today we are not fishing in waters where we are dangerous. We're fishing. We want to conclude this session by offering solutions. So do this. Sustainability you mentioned. Don't begin to challenges. Give us the solution. What do you think are the solutions to the things we are going to be asking us about? So sustainability, how do we sustain it? That's what we'll be glad for you to tell us.
Okay, in that aspect, for our higher institutions from the local level, is to ensure that, number one, the institutions in every African country should ensure that it's a policy document, quality data, integrity. It should be entrenched in our documents. And the African countries will adopt it. So I think that will go along so that the political will be driven by our political leaders to ensure that if we are involved in any data gathering, have very strong political will, and they are determined, nation and as a continent, to build our universities on data. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, Michael Ahove, about having policies that are approved at different levels for data capturing to ensure that we have sustainability process. Dr. Bugoma Suwadu, please take the floor.
Bonjour à tous. Bonjour, cher professeur, et bonjour à tout le monde.
Oh, thank you very much for inviting me. So important for data collection in Africa. I think that we need to bear in mind the importance of independence when it comes to collecting data. We need to detach from institutions of statistics. We need to see the reality of Africa through good and solid statistics, not biased ones.
Sorry, Dr. Bugoma, are you done? Oh, sorry, I didn't know. I was tuned to the English channel. Dr. Fred Awa, please take the floor.
Thank you very much. My name is Fred Awa of the All African Students Union and now of the University of Accra, Ghana. I would think that for the ability of data for the policy data unit, what should happen is that there should be some approach. That means, what I mean here is that there should be, students should be with knowledge, skills, and attitudes needed to be able to data, analyze them, and report them appropriately. A few universities on the face of the continent are getting this right. It is important that this is replicated across the face of the continent. You take, for instance, the University of Burundi doctoral school. Data must be picked of your doctoral processes, reported accordingly. At the World Bank African Center of Excellence into Transformative Education at the Lagos State University, this has also been done and done so. I think that when African universities look at this as a collective agenda that reflects input from students to the policy and be having reliable data that can ensure the sustainability of education strategy for Africa. Thank you very much. And in line with
Thank you very much, Dr. Fred Awa. Thank you very much. Because I have almost like 7 people, and I'm going to stop in 7 minutes. So I'm going to like a minute. But trust that your voices will be heard. When we finish, we will encourage you, because we have your email IDs, we'll encourage you to send us some more insights that will go into the revised version of our report. Michael Wangai, please take the floor. After that, Elias Soli. Yes.
Thank you, Prof.
Michael Wangai.
Yes. This is Michael Wangai. You can hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
You can hear me, Prof?
Loud and clear, sir. Loud and clear.
This is Michael Wangai, Quality Assurance, University of Nairobi, Kenya. You were here last time, so may I share a little about
yes.
this area?
Yes.
What is happening now is that due to the pandemic, we are seeing new development is data collection. We are seeing that the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics is digitizing data. Our Commission for University Education is requiring every university to log in and update data in their system. So the management information systems, including the Kenya Qualification Authority, which is requiring every institution, tertiary institution, including universities, to update data in their systems. So I think in future, it will be easy now to get correct, verified, and triangulated data from these bodies, because now the management information system will assist in ensuring that we have correct data. Thank you, Prof.
Yeah, thank you so very much, sir. Professor Michael Wangai. I don't know whether it's my network, because I cannot. Juma, can you hear me? All right. So let's take. Oh, thank you, sir. Professor Chuksumba. Oh, wonderful. Thank you, sir. Let's take Elias Sauli. I'm sorry if I pronounce your name wrongly, but you have the floor for 1 minute. Good. Yeah. So, thank you so very much. Good point, which Professor Michael Ahove also made from Nigeria about institutional policies on data collection, verification, and all of that. Thank you very much, sir. Matete Madiba, thank you, sir. You have the floor, madam. Do you want to share with us your country, where you are, country? Very good. Good. Yeah. Sure. Yeah. Wonderful. Thank you, Professor Matete Madiba. Very, very useful contribution. By the way, I personally appreciate your contribution to the report, to the study. Your recommendations were quite apt, spot on. And what you just said amplified what you submitted earlier. Thank you. We're taking on Dr. Abubakar. Dr. Abubakar. Next is Johnson Fatokun. Professor Fatokun, you have the floor.
Okay, Dr. Abubakar.
Okay, Dr. Abubakar, please carry on.
Okay, thank you, Chair Prof. I've learned a lot from you.
Yes, sir.
Mine will be just 2 or 3 contributions. My name is Dr. Abubakar Yakubu, Director of Academic Planning of Kebbi State University here in Nigeria. I'm looking at contributions from the government itself. Our government should have the will in Africa, the will for them to be able to enact policies. You have made a correction or an example where some universities fabricate data.
Oh, yes.
Probably for gain or for something else. We should be able to have laws, policies where we can prosecute those who fabricate data. I think that will checkmate some area. Secondly, special units can be formed in the university, those units specifically for data collection. And some numeration, special numeration can be given to them. So that will make that unit function efficiently So with the nomination and special unit, and then prosecute the will of government to be able to prosecute offenders to fabrication or whatever. Thank you, Prof. That's my contribution.
Thank you so very much, Dr. Abuka. We really appreciate the contributions. Very good point regarding government and the other matters that you raised. Professor Johnson Fatokun, please take the floor. You have a minute. We have just 10 minutes, 8 minutes to end this segment of the work.
Thank you very much. Just two things. Number one, I'm suggesting that we have to...
Can you introduce yourself? Which country are you from?
Okay, I'm just...
Without my having to ask you to...
Anchor University, Lagos.
I know Vice Chancellor. I know Vice Chancellor. I know you. Yes, but yes, I know. But let others know.
Nigeria. Anchor University, Lagos, Nigeria. Now, two things, sir, very quickly. Number one, I'm thinking we should be going in the direction of developing a uniform instrument to generate data, so that we'll have varied submissions from different institutions. And then number two, there should be a plan of action to train personnel. A plan of action to train personnel. And I'm suggesting this, that universities should develop academic curriculum for data science, even at the undergraduate level. And our regulatory bodies should try to support this and help us to start this in earnest. Thank you, sir.
God bless you, Professor Johnson Fatokun, the Vice Chancellor of Anchor University, Nigeria. Well done, sir. Ahmed, no, I'm sorry. Ahmed Legruri, please take the floor. Okay, while waiting for Adekunle Oladejo, take the floor. Okay, yeah, Ahmed, back to you, Professor Ahmed. Yes, back to you, Professor.
Okay, I'm not allowed to use the camera. Do you hear me?
Yes, it's coming, but it's breaking. But please go on.
Would you allow me to use my camera, please?
Yes. Please.
Okay.
The next two people, Dr. Oladejo and Dr. Abre, I will only allow you a minute each because we don't want to exceed our time. Yes, Professor Ahmed Legruri.
Thank you very much. My name is Ahmed Legruri. I am currently Provost and Vice President for Academic Affairs at the International University of Grand Bassam in Côte d'Ivoire. I am Moroccan. I would like to share with you my experience in quality assurance and data gathering analysis. I worked actually for Francophone universities, and I worked also for a very long period of time in US-style universities, both in Morocco and in Côte d'Ivoire. And the experience is rich.
Professor Ahmed, just make it in just 1 minute, because yes, after 1 minute, I'm going to mute you.
Less than a minute. Yeah. Okay. Less than a minute. So I would like to share with you the experience, which is very common in the US, is in institutions, they have what they call institutional research. And sometimes they add an effectiveness to the title of the office. And the office is in charge of gathering data, not only gathering data, but also analyzing them, and sometimes even carrying out studies and projections based on the data. That's what I wanted to share with you. Thank you very much.
God bless. Wonderful, Professor Ahmed Legruri. We're very proud of you for the 3 experiences that you've rolled into one to share with us. Dr. Adekunle Oladejo, who we acknowledge you in the report because you helped in formatting and in harvesting the table. So, Dr. Oladejo, take the floor.
Good afternoon, sir.
1 minute, please.
Good afternoon, sir, and thank you very much. Good afternoon, sir. Thank you very much, sir, for this opportunity. My name is Adekunle Oladejo from Lagos State University, Africa Experience for Innovative System Education. My area of contribution is around funding, because we're talking about sustainability. To actually achieve that, then funding is important. And I'm looking at private sector partnership with our universities. Some private sectors are data consumers and others in that line. How do our institutions get to work along with all these data consumers such that from them the university can, get money to fund these units. We're talking about incentivizing those that will work, remuneration. We will need money to do all of this. Second to that is that the universities should also have.
Okay, thank you very much, Kunle. Funding, yeah, brilliant. Thank you very much. Mike Abre, last person. Please take the floor. Thank you, Kunle. Last person, Mike.
My name is Mike Abre from IEPA, Institute for Educational Planning and Administration in the University of Cape Coast, Ghana. I think my contribution is in line with the need for Africa to build a robust system for system-level performance, to assess system-level performance. The fact is, universities continue to produce graduates. To what extent are we sure the teeming youth Africa has the quality and pedigree that is comparable from one university to the other? Until we have a system of assessing at the junior high school level, at the senior high school level, at the university level, which is much comparable, we cannot do interventions and programs that can help us activate CESA 2016 to 2025, as well as other priorities for Agenda 2063. My contribution.
Thank you so very much, so Mike Abre. Perspectives from different African countries. What I want to do now is to ask Professor Juma Shabani to conclude within 2 minutes. But before that time, I've heard quite a number of exciting suggestions from Cameroon, from Ghana, from Nigeria, from Cote d'Ivoire, from South Africa, and the others. We have added to the list about policies, about funding, about ensuring that standards are set and uniformly agreed upon and then incentivized. So what I want to do at this stage is to go back to our tempered agenda, because I want us to be able to agree on this. So I will just go one by one very quickly. If I don't hear anybody that is saying he or she doesn't agree with the temporal agenda, agreed upon from derived from the studies that we had. Number one, select national data collection units in every country in the region, just like South Africa talked about HEMIS at the national level. Any objection? I see none. Number two, establish sub-regional coordinating node for national agencies. Any objection to this?
No objection. No
Three.
objection.
Yeah, okay, thank you. The regional policy data unit, CESA, to be in a location that is determined through objective criteria and geopolitical considerations. Any objection to that? Number three? None. Four?
No
we all
objection.
agreed on institutional capacity building, that there must be building of capacity, strengthening of capacities at the institutional level. Also, number five, human capacity building. And then for us to have harmonized regional standards for all higher education indicators. Any objection to number six? Okay, I see none. Let's go to number seven. Data verification, validation. I'm sorry, let me just clear. There's some noise from some place here. Let me mute the person quickly. That's Suleiman Ba. Suleiman Ba, okay, it's already muted. Thank you. So let's go on to number six, which is to ensure that the data are verified and validated, and security is ensured at all levels of the process. Any objection? I see none. We're going on to number eight, which is partnerships. That PDU should establish partnerships with global national organizations that have the same mission of data collection, processing, policy making, and all of that. And we'll give some examples from this study. Any objection? None. Nine, monitoring and evaluation. Any objection? Then number 10, we all said this. Everybody who contributed said this, apart from this coming out from the report. Incentivization. Any objection? I see none. Meaning that we all approved of this temporal agenda. We'll expand on it in our final report when we are handing over to Elizabeth. Over to you, Professor Shabani, for a statement or two, and then Elizabeth will close.
Thank you very much. First of all, I should like to thank you and congratulate you for this brilliant presentation and coordination of the workshop. Secondly, I take note that there are several suggestions and the case studies which will be submitted to help us to enrich the reports, and we are looking forward. Maybe we should agree on some kind of a deadline to do that. Then the third one is that this activities, this event is being organized by the subcluster on harmonization, quality assurance, and accreditation. I think we need to encourage all the quality assurance agencies to try to use this strategy and produce very, very quality data, which will be for regional harmonization and so on. In the case of Burundi, we are evaluating the system, and I think this is coming at the right time, because we will use this to try to start the process of producing data, which will be used in the process of harmonizing with the East African community through the Inter-University Council for East Africa. So I thank everybody for contribution. I think it was very successful, and we look forward for further contribution that will help to finalize the report. Thank you very much.
Thank you, my colleague, Professor Juma Shabani, and we now invite Abre Global. For your information, that's information of everybody here. Abre Global is a wonderful outfit that has been working assiduously to support Africa through the AU-EU partnership. I'm very proud of the person I'm going to call now. That's Elizabeth Colucci. She's been doing quite well. So Elizabeth, we'll just give you 1 minute, because by exactly 2:30, this session has to end. Yes, Elizabeth.
Okay, thank you, Peter. Always impressively punctual. Thank you so much. Excellent sharing. Thank you, Juma. Thank you for the work you've done on this survey and in putting together this report in such a short timeline. Many of the participants asked if they could have access to the survey. I think some haven't received it yet. So we will circulate it again after this event. I should mention that the report was an input to this discussion today, but there will be an output as well. We are asking all the subcluster coordinators who do events under CESA Higher Education in Focus to have a short outcome report. This will all be summarized and presented in the AAU General Conference that Professor Maba mentioned in July. And it will then subsequently be used to feed into the work of what we're calling a PDU development team. This is a small team of strategic individuals representing higher education and data expertise from a few regional organizations shared by the AAU, who will be using all of this important input to basically define a work plan for the PDU and ultimately a data collection process, and eventually work on the issues of capacity building around data. So this is all part of a process that we are now launching for the next 1.5 years. I think this was an excellent launch. I have taken vigorous notes, and I can only say that we hope you will join us for future events. Our capacity in the Zoom has been upgraded. Sorry for the issue earlier. We put that in the chat. So we will have no limit now going forward to those who can enter the meetings. The next event is on the 12th of May. This is going to be offered to us by the CESA subcluster on curriculum, teaching, and learning in higher education, chaired by Dr. Charmaine Ville. And the title of the event is Preparing Higher Education Students for a Complex World, Exploring the Fluidity of Teaching, Learning, and Curriculum Post-COVID. So we will be looking at data from the angle of teaching and learning in curricula. Please do join us for that event and for further events that we're offering on this platform. Thank you so much to all the contributors. Thank you again, Peter and Juma, a pleasure as usual. We believe this is only the beginning.
Thank you again, Elizabeth. We started at 12 noon GMT sharp. That's 1 p.m. Nigerian time. If you check your watch, if you check the time, it's exactly a minute to when we should finish.
Brilliant.
So it's a pleasure. I want to be able to bid you 2:30 now. So it's my pleasure on behalf of Juma and I to bid you bye-bye. Thank you. And see you at the next event of CESA.
Est-ce qu'on peut faire une photo, une capture d'écran?
Oh yes, so take the photo. We are taking the photo now. Oh, oui, madame. Oui, madame Dabosa. Okay, bye-bye, everybody. Bye-bye, bye-bye. All right.
Là, c'est bon?
Oui.
D'accord, merci beaucoup. Ciao, ciao.
Merci beaucoup.
Enfin, le français.
Bye bye.
Merci, au revoir. Bye bye. Bye bye.
Thank you all very much.
Merci beaucoup.